involved addressing the park board. I wish every young person were doing what you're doing. And so I would very much like to encourage you and contact you. My email, well, Mr. Becker.
Dickey, I will provide your contact information later.
So Mr. Becker, our park board manager, can give you my contact information, and I very much look forward to getting together with you on this.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Reddy, and also our Assistant Director, Ms. Johnson, will reach out as well. I just got a text from her. So no, we truly appreciate you coming and, taking time to express what you feel should be done there. With that, thank you, and we hope to see you again. Please come and speak again once you see some action. With that, I'll just take it a little out of the agenda, Mr. Secretary. Can we have a group picture since we all that should be assembled here? And yes, we'll just take a group picture real quick before we go to the approval of the meeting.
Yes, sir.
So I think we can here.
You look like that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. We're going.
Everyone come in the middle.
Oh, in the middle.
Remember.
I gotta get it back on the holiday one.
I already know how it works. I'll tell people it's fun.
I already know how it works, so.
Excuse me.
It's easy to take on and off. My husband is
Hey, there's only so much like.
We got Jeff's.
I got lots of green on here.
Yes.
Take to work, go to my dog.
Wait, he said, our room's not ready yet.
That's fine.
Aw.
You almost poked Bo in the eye.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
You can see
Sorry,
me,
oh,
running his horns.
I don't know what just happened.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry if I poked anyone with my word.
Don't get mad at Creamy.
Guess what?
Whoa, Rudy.
I know. I'm wearing some.
Don't like that's the first time I've seen you wearing that.
Love your shirt. It's so cute. Let me say it. Which, please.
There you go, there.
Actually,
That we move to
I know, right?
the business. Before we move to that point of business, today we will try to keep our 3-2-2 rule, 3 rounds, 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Mr. Secretary, would you keep watch on the time for everyone? With that, we move to approval for the minutes for October 20th. Do I have Mr. Slaughter? Any second? Mr. Stewart, any discussion? With that, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. That we move to our consent agenda. Point 1 to 5. Do I have a motion? Yes, Mr. Stewart.
Mr. President, on consent agenda item number 3, the committee deferred that item until the second meeting, our second meeting in January of 2023. So I would ask that we remove it from the consent agenda. And then I would move to adopt consent agenda items numbers 1, 2, 4, and 5.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to remove item number 3. So we are going to vote on consent agenda item number 1, 2, 4, and 5. Do I have seconded by Mr. Dickey? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Now, do we need to vote definitely number 3?
Mr. Stewart's motion was to move the item number 3 to
The second meeting in January.
the second meeting in January. That was part of the original motion. Therefore, it
It was
has so been done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Okay, we are moving on. So with that, we come to our first briefing, 2017 bond program. Let's turn it over. The shortest.
Don't jinx
Please,
us.
don't, don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he can do it out, bro.
Before Mr. Noteware gets started, as you all know, this is a series of everything we're discussing related to the bond program, and wanted to discuss today, where are we at on the 2017 bond program, and then it was 2020 projects. So we'll know exactly where we are. So when we start discussing the 2023 bond program, we know where we are and what we have to do. But also, Chris is gonna touch on about all the different other projects we're working on. I'm just gonna touch on it lightly today. But just to give you an example, and I don't think I saw the number in there, but for our planning and design, we staffed up for the 2017 bond. So that may have been saying, hey, we're gonna have an average of 60 projects a year we're working on, 70 projects per year. Well, when she did all the calculation between all these other funding sources we have received recently, over the last couple of years, not including the 2017 bond program, where we received funding for CDBG funding, for ARPA funding, our partners, which is good, went out and raised additional money for additional projects, and then some general fund projects that was needed to get funded, from based on the information we received from you all as board members and council members. So their workload went from 70 projects for about, I think, 8 or 9 project managers. This year alone, they have on their list about 200 plus projects. So I just want us to keep that in perspective, that they only staffed up for about 70 projects a year. We're trying to figure out how we handle 200 projects. So with that being said, I better turn it over to Chris.
Thank you for that intro. So as indicated, I'm here to talk about our 2017 bond program accomplishments, and we'll also talk a little bit about our 2006 bond program as well. So as an overview, we're going to talk about our planning, design, and facility structure, and talk a little bit about our staffing. We'll talk about our funding sources, talk in general about the bond program accomplishments, and then go into detail about our 2017 bond program categories and accomplishments. And as you'll see listed here, the accomplishments are divided into specific categories of new parks, trails, playgrounds, master plans, acquisitions, grants and partnership matching funds, facility services projects, aquatics, recreation center projects, fair park projects, and then we'll talk a little bit about next year's projects. This is not a complete list that we have here, but we do have a listing of projects by district that we are going to be working on next year. So looking at the planning, design, and facility structure, on our planning side, we do have 2 planners. You've seen Jared and Megan quite a bit the last several months on presentations. On our capital project management side, we have 2 manager positions. One of those positions is vacant. We have 5 architect positions. One of those positions are vacant. We have 2 engineering positions. One of those positions are vacant. We have 3 senior landscape architects. One of those is vacant. On our construction management side, we have 1 manager, and that manager position is also vacant. And we have 4 inspectors, 2 of which are vacant. So on top of the fact that we were staffed up to do 70 projects, which we're now working on 200 projects, we're dealing with a lot of vacancies as well. On our facility services side, we have 23 employees that work on our bond program, and I didn't list it here. However, 14 of those positions are also vacant. So we are starting to feel like one-armed paper hangers now, but we're doing the best job we can with what we have. And then support staff, we do have 3 support staff employees that help us as well. None, thank goodness. On our project funding sources, as John mentioned, we're funded by various funding sources. The first one being our bond programs. Then we also have operating fund programs that come in. We have ARPA, we have state ARPA funds, CDBG and equity funds that come in, and then our grants and our partnership projects as well. Looking specifically at bond program accomplishments, in our 2006 bond program, we had just over $356 million that was allocated to the Park Department for the 2006 bond program. There were 365 projects identified, and we've completed 358. We have just over $354 million of that 356 that has been spent or obligated to date. And we have just $2 million that's remaining in funds that are designated for pending trail and service center projects that are complete. On our 2017 bond program, we have just over $311 million, and that's both for the Parks Proposition B and the Fair Park Proposition. And that included 175 projects that were identified, and we have 96 of those completed. We have nearly $221 million of the total bond funds spent or obligated to date, and nearly $91 million of remaining funds are scheduled to be obligated in this fiscal year and next fiscal year. So looking at the various different categories we have, for new parks, we received $41.5 million in 2017 bond funding, just over $54 million in partnership with Parks for Downtown Dallas. We completed one new park in Hillcrest Village Green. We've completed several parks in conjunction with Parks for Downtown Dallas. We have 3 new parks that were completed. Pacific Park, Plaza West End Square, and then Carpenter Park was recently completed. And we do have 1 new park presently under construction, Harwood Park, in conjunction with Parks for Downtown Dallas. So this next slide shows a few pictures of the completed parks with Hillcrest Village Green on the left, Pacific Plaza in the middle bottom, and then West End Square in the top right. Looking at our trail network, our City of Dallas Trail Network will eventually consist of over 300 miles of interconnected trails linking all parts of the city once we're complete. We had nearly $42 million of total 2017 bond funds allocated to trails. We have approximately 177 miles completed and 45 miles funded in development. And you can see here just the breakout of different types of trails. We have linear trails that we've completed 92.7 miles. We have 44.7 miles funded and another 83.3 miles planned. On our loop trails, we completed 21.6 miles. We have another 5.7 miles planned. And on our nature trails, we've completed 29.5 miles. On our neighborhood trails, we've completed 32.1 miles. And a couple of our brand new trails that we've completed, Cedar Crest and Honey Springs Trail, you'll see on the left, and then Elmwood Parkway Trail, you'll see on the right. And ongoing and upcoming trail projects, this is just a list of the projects that we are currently working on. We have some of the Circuit Trail projects. We've got Kings Creek Trail Extension, Farm to Market 1382 Trail that we're working on in conjunction with Dallas County, North Haven US 75 Bridge that we're working on in conjunction with Metro, and looking at playgrounds, we had a total of 2017 bond funds allocated for 30 playgrounds. It was nearly $5 billion. We have 10 projects completed, 7 are awarded under construction and design. I do have a footnote on here that this $4.8 million was the original bond amount, and this may be different due to some reprogramming. I believe we originally had 20 playgrounds in the 2017 bond program, and it's increased to 30 through different reprogramming. So I just wanted to make note, those numbers may be a little bit different for reprogramming. A couple of our newer playgrounds that we've recently opened. On the left, you can see Martin Luther King Jr. Park, and on the right, you can see Westmount Park. And one thing I do want to note, you can see that both of these playgrounds have the 5R, kind of the wood chips on there. That's something that we're looking to change in the future. On our future parks, we'll be looking to do all-weather surface and soft surface on those. So just want to make note of that. Master plans, just for those of you who may not know, master plan is a comprehensive or far-reaching plan of action. It sets goals and priorities. It addresses equity for citywide planning and identifies and prepares projects for funding. Some master plan elements are the plan goals. It does a site analysis, represent historical content in the area. It includes public involvement, plan development, has cost elements, and then develops an implementation phasing plan. Here's a list of master plans that are completed and underway. You heard at our last meeting about our dog park development guidelines. Glendale Park is completed. Heritage Village has been completed. We're currently working on Old City Park, Park in the Cedars, and also Samuel Farm. The skate park master plan is underway, and we have a few others listed here that we have completed in the 2017 bond program. In land acquisitions, at our meeting prior to this one, we had a good presentation regarding all of our land acquisitions that we've done for the 2017 bond program. So I've just given a summary here. We had $24.347 million in land acquisition in the 2017 bond program. We've completed 4 acquisitions or in acquisition on 1. We had 4 acquisitions that were canceled or reprogrammed. We've got about $4.6 million remaining. That makes up that total of $24.7 million. And grants and partnerships. Park and Recreation Department partners with a lot of private entities. We partner with local, state, and federal agencies to fund and develop our park and trail improvements. Through our 2017 bond program, we have an additional $150 million for new parks and trails that we leverage to various grant and partnership programs. Some of our typical funding partners are listed here. I mentioned that we are partnered with Dallas County on some trail projects. We work extensively with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. We work with TxDOT. We work with Texas Parks and Wildlife and Trust for Public Land. And then we have a lot of private partnering organizations that we also work with, whether those be Friends of Parks or things of that nature. Facility services. Our facility services group also partners with our planning and design and the bond and construction office to complete various 2017 bond projects in-house. They can include security lighting, loop trail, or fitness equipment stations. They also help to install and design new spray grounds. For our 2017 bond program, we had 41 projects completed and 7 projects remain in progress for our facility services group. Those remaining projects are listed here. We have Martyrs Park, Anderson Bomber, concrete and drainage improvements. We're going to be getting started on Forest Ardelia Park internally with facility services. Friendship Park, trail with lighting and exercise equipment. They're going to be working on Park of Cedars. They're working on Casa Linda Loop Trail and Pavilion. They'll be working on the Devin Anderson Playground and the Concord Park Loop Trail. Looking at the aquatics and spray ground master plan implementation, we did have an aquatic facilities master plan 2015 update, excuse me. And we did have a total 2017 bond fund allocation of just over $48 million for aquatics. We do have 9 aquatics projects that are completed. We have 1 aquatic project that is still under construction, and we have 6 spray ground projects that were completed. So looking at our regional aquatic centers, this is a picture of Fred's Park here. General amenities that we have at our regional aquatic centers are a bathhouse, 8-lane lap pools, lazy rivers, kids pools, play features, and body film slides. And the locations of those are Crawford, Fretz, and Samuel Grant. Looking at our community aquatic centers, those are located at Kidd Springs, Lake Highlands North, and this is a picture of Lake Highlands North Park. And the general amenities there are a bathhouse, a 6-lane lap pool, kids pool with play feature, and body film slides. Looking at our neighborhood aquatic centers, those are located at TC Park, which that's what this picture is. And then we have X-Line on Harry Stone, and general amenities there are bathhouse, the 4-lane lap pool, the kids pool with play feature, and body flume slides. And then we also did some improvements at Bahama Beach Water Park, the expansion amenities there at the bathhouse, the lagoon pool, the kids spray ground, and a boomerang slide. And then the spray grounds that were completed, we had 6 spray grounds completed out at Grauweiler, J.C. Zaragoza Park, A.B. Polk Park, Seaburg Riley, Nash Davis, and Timberglen. This is a picture of Kleberg Riley. Looking at our recreation center projects, we had a total of just over $23 million allocated in 2017 bond projects. And we have 4 recreation center projects that were completed: Bachman, Singing Hills, Thurgood Marshall, and Willie D. Johnson, which we're actually celebrating the reopening of Willie D. Johnson tonight. So we're very excited about that. But this is Singing Hills Recreation Center, which was completed in December of 2020. Its new features included the senior center, a tech center, and a gymnasium. This is Bachman, which its new features included the entranceway canopy, break room, modern reception area, restroom flooring, HVAC, security lighting, and landscaping. This is a picture of Thurgood Marshall, which also included the entranceway canopy, break room, modern reception area, customized ceiling, restroom flooring, security lighting, and landscaping. And then these are some pictures of Willie B. Johnson that we're very, very proud of. Again, having the grand opening celebration tonight. And some of the new features out there: we have a new senior center, a tech lab, the new gymnasium, enhanced parking and landscaping, site lighting, and a solar assisted power source. So if you're not doing anything tonight, please come join us for our grand opening between 4 and 6. Looking at our Fair Park projects, Fair Park had a total of $50 million allocated to the 2017 bond program. We have almost $13 million in funds remaining, but we do have 5 projects completed. You can see them listed there. We have 1 project under construction at the Coliseum. It's about 99% complete, so it's complete. We have 2 projects that are currently bidding in the Tower Building and Centennial Building, and we have 4 other projects under design, as you can see that are listed there. So looking at next year's projects, as I mentioned, this isn't a complete list, but it's a good list to kind of get you started to look at what it is we're working on for you for next year. So looking at District 1, we're looking at the parklet near Hampton, the skate park, and Martin Weiss Recreation Center. We're doing some interior enhancements there. In District 2, we're working on Reverchon Recreation Center, Park in the Cedars, and the Old City Park Master Plan. In District 3, we'll be working on Glendale Park and the Keys Park Pro Shop. In District 4, we have Cadillac Heights, and then we'll be working on Eloise Lundy Rec Center, some basketball courts reconstruction, and the trail repair and replace. In Council District 5, we'll be working on Garden Park, Bitter Creek Park, Beaver Trail, and the Search Trail. In District 6, we have Bishop Flores Park, Bizos Park, Stafford Park. We'll be finishing the Bachman Aquatic Center in the next one. In Council District 7, we have the Lakewood Hills Skate Park, Everglade Park, Willie Mae Butler Park. And in Council District 8, the Wheatland Athletics Complex, the Kleberg Riley Rec Center gym floor, Judge Charles Road Park, Judge Charles Rose Park, Daniel Dale Park and Meadowstone Park. In Council District 9, we're working on the White Rock Lake dredging and master plan, the Casalinda Park Pavilion, Lakewood Park, and the Dixon Branch Greenbelt. And in Council District 10, we have quite a few projects ongoing in Forest Auxilia Park and the rest, like Cold Hill Playground, Friendship Park, R.P. Brooks Park Walking Trail, Timberleaf Park, Beach Park. In Council District 11, the Anderson Park Lake Pollution Control, the North Cape Trail Pedestrian Bridge, the Owl Park Pedestrian Bridge. And in Council District 12, we have Bent Tree Meadow Park, Rose Park, Twin Lakes Park Site Furnishings, Twin Lakes Dredging, Preston Bridge Dover Benches, Campbell Green Recreation Center, Timberlake Trail, and Frankfurt Park Playground and Pedestrian. In Council District 13, we're focusing on Park site improvements, Glen Meadow Playground, Jamestown Park Playground, Marcus Park Playground, and the Royal Park Tennis Courts. And then last but certainly not least, in Council District 14, we're focusing on the Exile Recreation Center, the Willis Park Pavilion, and the Teensy Park ADA Park site improvements. This concludes the formal presentation. I do want to mention that we do have an appendix. This the amount of money that's been appropriated per council district and also the 2017 bond program projects that have been completed or in process. And this is given for each district. I just pulled District 1 up here to show you as an example. We didn't officially list which projects were completed and which ones were underway. But if you have questions about that, we can certainly provide that information. And with that, if you have any questions, I'm free to answer questions. Jerry is here and I'm trying to understand as well.
Thank you so much, Mr. Notwell. I see Mr. Karimi.
Good morning. I love playgrounds and I see that was a big part of this presentation. On slide 11, I've got a couple of questions. It says 30 playgrounds. That's a nice even number. Was that predetermined or was that determined after extensive deep dive analysis of all of our playgrounds?
Basically, as I mentioned, Park Board Member Karimi, originally in the 2017 bond, there were 20 playgrounds. Through reprogramming, we added an additional 10 playgrounds. And I believe that was determined based on the analysis of playgrounds that needed to be replaced. And talking with the Park Board members and council members, an additional 10 playgrounds were added again based on need.
Gotcha. Good. That's what I was hoping for. So in relation to when that 2017 bond was voted and passed, how far in advance of that was that analysis known and to the public that, hey, we got 30 playgrounds and this is our plan?
At least, because we started that discussion probably at least a year and a half ahead of time.
Okay.
Oh, so kind of what we're doing now ahead of time, because you're gonna get that analysis
Okay.
pretty soon as well, age of the playgrounds.
Awesome. So we're still ahead of the curve right now with
Yeah.
respect to those dates on those playgrounds. Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karimi. Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question. When we started the 2017 bond program, excuse me, Assistant City Manager Majid Al-Ghafri came and we were informed that we were going to have outside program managers for this bond. And there was quite a bit of objection to the board, by the board, and we were assured that the cost would somewhere be around 2 to 3% of the total amount. Now we're 5 years in roughly. Do you know what, or can you find out what the final percentage amount was or is of what the outside program manager cost as a percentage, the bond office, through the bond office?
Let's see if Rachel, I want to see if Rachel is on the call, Rachel Beard. She has that number. If not, we can get that number. We can get that
No,
number
this
to you.
would have been previously, parks, in previous bonds, park staff had managed the bond programs with one exception, I think, where we did partial part of the bond program, and I guess it was maybe 2016 or 2012 was an outside program manager. In this one, there were going to be program managers for the entire package, and there were concerns raised by the board about how much that was going to cost, how many millions of that 331, whatever the number is, was going to go toward outside program managers. So the assurance was it would roughly be 2 to 3%, and I just wanted to know as we look back how accurate that turned out to be.
Yeah, we'll get you that number, Mr. Dickey.
Okay.
But I know we didn't use the program manager services much because of the cost.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, great to know. Then the second question is on the 4 land acquisitions that were canceled or reprogrammed. What were those? Was that just because opportunities to buy land? I value. Think that that's always a good thing because land's always getting more expensive. So I was just wondering, 6.4 million that didn't go to buying land but went somewhere else. Were those?
It just depends if it was the council discretionary funding that they use, because they may have decided to reprogram the money.
Okay, so it could have been a council decision. And then,
Mr. Dickey, that's your 3 minutes.
okay, so just out of curiosity on the question, when you ask a question, the answer to the question comes out of the 3 minutes?
No, sir, I stopped the time.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll get to.
Just like council.
Yeah, I'll wait for results.
Yeah, you get, yeah, we'll have to make. So, Ms. Collins.
Thank you very much. This was very helpful and really comprehensive, Chris. So thank you for this update. I do have 2 questions. I noticed there were 2 skate parks on the list for next year's projects. Those were previously allocated in the bond. Lakeland Hills, which is kind of already a skate park, but I saw one in District 1 as well.
That is something that, Council District West has, or excuse me, Council Member West has specifically asked for in his district, so it's something that we've done through reprogramming for him. So it's something that we're looking at right now, going out and doing some public meetings to determine the best location.
Great.
He's also looking at doing some fundraising for the project.
Wonderful. In that case, we have a very strong friends group, Skate Parks for Dallas, that is adept at fundraising. So I don't know that they're aware of this. I talk to Dr. Haley somewhat often. So is that something that's already been reached out to him about?
No, we just started this conversation probably about 3 weeks ago.
Great.
The council members felt very adamant that he could help raise some funds to make this happen.
That's wonderful news, because I know we're awaiting an update on that master plan, skate park master plan, as well as the dog park master plan. That's great. So Chris, going back to one of your earliest slides about you have a lot of vacant positions. So how can you give us a status report on kind of how those filling those positions is going? Because I know you're short-staffed.
Basically, we have requisitions out right now, so all the positions are advertised. What we're finding right now is that we're having difficulty getting qualified candidates. So we're continuing to advertise. We're looking for different avenues to advertise. We're talking about trying to advertise this to technical journals and things of that nature to try and generate additional interest. Right now, the market is very, very competitive. And we're not only competing with the outside entities, we're also competing internally with other departments that have engineering folks and landscape architects and things like that. So it's just very, very competitive right now. So we are advertising and doing everything we can do to try and get those positions filled.
Great. And last thing, I noticed the Bachman Regional Aquatic Center wasn't on here. Any reason?
That's because we're due to hopefully complete that within the next month.
Oh, okay. Fantastic. Okay, that concludes my questions. Thank you.
Ms. Collins, then Mr. Kittner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Chris, for this presentation. I've got a few questions. Looking at the District 11 accomplishments in particular, I see that we have not included one of our signature accomplishments, which was the completion of the Arapahoe Park. And that was done through the Friends Group bond matching monies. So have we not included any of those projects that address or that utilize the Friends Group money in this report?
That certainly was not intentional, Purple River Kittner. It was no oversight.
Okay.
We can certainly get that added on.
Okay, well, so not just for Arapahoe Park, but for all of our Friends Groups matching funds projects, because we don't want to sell ourselves short in terms of what we've accomplished.
Absolutely.
Right, okay, thank you. And then Mr. Stewart and I have been having a back and forth on this, because I've been told by park staff that the North Haven Trail SOPAC connection has been fully funded, and Stewart is under the impression that it has not been funded. So we didn't see it on the list here. So has that connection between North Haven Trail and SOPAC in fact been funded?
I'm going to ask Jared if he will come up and address that question.
Morning. Yes, it's funded. It's added to the list. This is part of the set where there's this last SOPAC connection in KCS where we got 4 million each in transportation development credits. So I'm actually working with a consultant now to get SOPAC under contract.
Okay.
So we get design started.
So is the money coming in, is that money coming from TxDOT or?
Yes, it's federal.
Okay. What about connection to the White Rock Creek Trail?
That's being done right now, right?
That's under construction.
Yeah,
They'll be
that's the
finished.
bridge. Yeah. So the bridge right now is connecting everything except for SOPAC.
Right.
SOPAC is a year behind.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, great. Then last question, do we have any projects that we included in the 2017 bond program that we know are not going to be funded and that we think that money could be reallocated elsewhere? Or do we feel pretty confident that everything that we allocated will be?
I think right now that, we do feel that there may potentially be a shortage in the 2017 bond program, but I don't believe we've identified what projects may not be completed at this point. We are working frantically to finish as many projects as we possibly can. So right now, it's pretty much everything that gets bid first is going to be funded first, so that's why we're frantically working to get everything completed and bid as quickly as we can.
What happens if we don't get something completed or funded? What happens to that money? We just roll it into the next bond program where we can spend it then?
Typically, projects that don't get completed in this bond program will typically roll to the next bond program.
Okay.
Because the design will already be completed and ready to go.
Right. That's all I've got. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Hasmany.
Thank you for this presentation. It's always good to kind of keep on top of this. Was White Rock Hills part of the brand new park? It was, okay, I just didn't see it on there, so sure we got that. My biggest concern in doing this exercise it's because it is good to look back and see all the stuff that we added. I mean, we added a lot. We added parks, we added aquatics. We did a lot of things that created a lot more work. We did not clearly have enough staff to actually implement all the stuff that we had the money to do. So here's the $1 million question on top of the $350 million question is, what are we gonna do to make sure that we have enough people to implement these wonderful things that we are having money to do and buy and build? And then how are we gonna increase our maintenance budget appropriately? So if we are getting $350 million and we are building $250 million worth of new assets that require X amount of maintenance, what are we doing to make sure that we're building that percentage into our budget? Because it just seems like we're doing this exercise over and over again, just building more and buying more, and yet not having, we don't even have enough staff to implement it. So that needs to be in the budget, and then our budget needs to be increased to be able to maintain these things we built. How are we gonna address that?
So as it relates to the 2017 bond program, that is worked into when we ask for when we get the funding. Next year, we tend to get the O&M for those projects. Once they're completed or anticipated to be completed, we get the funding for
In our budget,
2017.
in our regular budget.
Yes, in our regular budget. Now, like I said, I mean, this is good and bad. Because folks want to give to the park department, either through grants or partnerships, or through some state funding or federal funding. Sometimes we become the benefactor, and those weren't budgeted, and we don't want to turn down the money. So it's kind of a catch-22. We get this pot of money, and it's like, how do we go ahead and build this? And then hopefully through the next year's budget process, they'll give us O&M to take care of these projects. So it's kind of a good news stir and a bad news stir, and we try to balance it as much as possible. And one of the things I'm gonna be implementing is in the future, and hopefully our partners will understand it. In order for us to give you good service on their projects, I'm probably gonna have to start asking for some percent of their project to reimburse our project manager so we can hire enough project managers for those projects as well. Because we got to figure out a funding mechanism to handle all these additional projects.
Would it make sense to ask, so if we're going into this next bond saying we want to ask for 350 million, let's say, would it make sense to say if we're getting $350 million worth of stuff, we're going to need a 10% increase in our staffing and maintenance budget? I mean, and just put it out there from the get-go, say we can ask for all this, but then we're not gonna be able to support what we get.
But we did. So the bond
regular
program, the
budget.
2017 bond program was an issue because we were staffed up for that. Okay, what we weren't staffed up was for all these other 100+ projects that came into existence. Because of selling, we got some state funding and we got some additional federal funding that came through. If Rachel was on the call, she knows one of the things we have discussed is that, yeah, we have to make sure that if we even think we may get some money in the future, we need to go ahead and be submitting that as part of the budget process in advance. And if we don't get the money, then they just don't give us the funding. But we gotta get ahead of it, even if we think we may get some
My point, we
funding.
need to get ahead of it now, and how can we help advocate for you?
Well, I'm hoping that, you know, and maybe the next briefing is to kind of break down these funding sources so you can kind of see how all this works. And so it's the same thing I need to probably brief the council as well, because I know they like to think park department, with the 2017 bond program, they want us to get rid of all our staff. They want us to go straight with the program managers, and the board pushed back. Because we do more than just bond projects, as you can see. And if we didn't have our own staff, there's no way we could carry out all these other additional 100-some projects. So we can't operate where we staff up for a bond program, and then when they're gone, we get rid of the staff, or we just use a program manager. That doesn't work for the park system. So we gotta come up with a sustainable model that takes into account, we just don't say we got so many projects each year and that's all the staff we need here. That's not the way this system is set up. So good question, and and I appreciate it.
See what you do.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes, I'm with you 100%, Ms. Hasbany, and we're with you 100%, Director Jenkins. That is so true. A couple of things. On the great summaries that you have on each of the council districts, can we get that updated? You know, I look at Mr. Previous District, District 14, it doesn't have Carpenter Park. And I think we need to put in those citywide dollars into each district, because people are gonna think that they got shorted when there's a lot of money in those districts that's not reflected in here. When you take the parks, you know, the 50, you know, what did we have? That's 50 plus.
4 million from them, park for downtown.
Well, it's even the bond money's not reflected in there, so.
35 million.
Yeah. Similarly, are the loop trail dollars reflected in here, or are they not?
They're not.
I think we should, those citywide dollars that we had that benefit a particular district, we should reflect those. And if you want to note, some are citywide and some are district. And similarly on the Fair Park dollars, I mean, some of those go in that district. The next thing is a challenge for us as a board. My guess is we are going to be short on some of these projects. And some of those projects might have been council district projects in the 2017 bond program. We need to commit as a board that those will be citywide projects in the 2024 bond program, because those shortages funded some of our other projects. And for purposes of equity, that needs to be spread over the whole city, not taxed to a particular district where they get charged with it in the 2017 bond program and again in the 2024 bond program. And then last thing is just to note, I know we talked about a new gymnasium at Willie B. Johnson. I just want to point out, it's the first gymnasium at Willie B. Johnson. And calling the outdoor facility a gym is more than generous, but it's the first gymnasium.
Thank you. Ms. Montana.
Thank you so much. Just, and it is a wonderful discussion. With the next year's projects and how it's defined by council districts, please, let's not forget that June, we will be changing all of these, a lot of this. So when it says some of these are in certain districts, they will change. And then some of the proposals of where potential projects that we're talking about would cross the street and go into another district. So just make sure we're really being mindful of that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Montana. Mr. Wood.
Thank you. I actually have some of the concerns where Mr. Stewart addressed already. District 14 has 1.1 million. Up to District 10 has 19.5 million. So the disparity in the differences between those two is incredible. So I don't think that this list or breaking it down like this is very accurate because District 7 is listed at 1.85, yet there was 50 million from the citywide allocated to Fair Park. So that's in District 7 as well. So either we are consistent with putting all the projects on there or not all of the projects. We pull out all the citywide or we add all the citywide. Because I have the same concern because I went through the list and, you know, from 1.9 million to 19.5 million is a big difference in the cities. And kind of what I took from that is the dedication and the priorities from not only the council person or the park board person advocating for projects, but having that difference is huge within the district. So I don't know how accurate this list is to reflect it, but to me, it makes it look like Rudy's district or District 14 residents were shortchanged. We all know that they weren't because, you know, they've got Rudy, but we need to make sure that we have all of the projects that, you know, have been done in those districts. Somebody else mentioned Lakeland Hills Park, or not Lakeland Hills, the White Rock Hills Park, and the money that we spent on that isn't on here. So either we include all projects or not all of the projects. So we just have to be more accurate because you're going to start fights between us. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Connor, Mr. Dickey next one.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to follow up on both those comments, Mr. Woods and and Ms. Mondell's, especially Ms. Mondell, because we've had a couple of briefings about plan and design, and this has come up a couple times. And I don't know if we have more briefings coming, but perhaps it would be beneficial to see current state, if we have more briefings, current state, and then what the state will be in whatever many months the redistricting takes effect. Because we have that same discussion about the assets. We had the big presentation about the assets, and you know, we have, for instance, Hillcrest Village Green is shifting to District 10, and that's a massive asset. That was 11. It's shifting to, you know, to a different park district, and so I really think those are really good points, and the accuracy. And to Mr. Wood's point, the equity of this is how it is now. We have a 2024 bond package we're trying to plan for, but we're using outdated data that is not accurate. And however, when is the redistricting going to effect? 6 months? May. June. So 7 months from now. So we're trying to say we're planning 5, 6, 7 years in advance, but we're using outdated data. So just something to consider. I'm not saying we can't use the data as it stands right now, but maybe data as it stands, and then also information of, hey, this is what it's going to look like in June. And so we can better plan moving forward. Thank you.
Yeah, and I appreciate those comments. It's just trying to collect all this data stuff right now. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Sure. And so have patience with us, because we will transition where we will be using all those other maps. But for right now, I just need to get some information to you all right now. And trust me, Chris, know I've been asking for this ever since she got on board. Okay, it's not her fault, but I needed to start having these discussions with you all now. And I can't wait on all that data to catch up yet. But I appreciate you making the comments, and I'm just gonna ask the board, have a little patience with me here, because I gotta start having these discussions with you. And we would have the asterisk with the understanding that this data doesn't reflect the redistricting.
That's what I was going to follow up on, because it's not just us sitting around this table.
Yes.
It's what happens down at the Horseshoe. And we could acknowledge that here, but then there could be a discussion down there that doesn't reflect that, and then it gets blown out of proportion. And so I just want to make sure that there is some kind of, you know, asterisk, something that says, hey, this data is current data. This data is updated in 6 months.
Okay. We can do that.
Thank you. Mr. Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a quick question on the Fair Park item. I know that it shows that the Centennial Building is currently bidding, and yet the Centennial is, if the Breimer Pass is on the 8th, that's one of the 5 venues that's going to be massively reconstructed. How do those two match? If there's something out for bid to modify the Centennial, and yet presumably that was not in the reconstruction, potential reconstruction wasn't in the picture when whatever this is that's out for bid was designed. So how would those work together?
I will have to get back to you on that, Mr. Dickey, because Trent is really the one managing Fair Park, and I know he had a conflict with the council district meeting. So I'll have to get back to you on that, Mr. Dickey.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. So with that, we conclude this briefing. Thank you so much, Chris. And our next point on the agenda, we move on, if I can get my notes together, is the budget update made, Ms. Mary.
Yeah, I think Rachel is online, but Rachel, you don't have a budget update, do you?
Good morning, John. No, I do not have a budget update at this time.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. With that, we bring you back, Ms. Reynolds, in 2024 one. It seems she doesn't have any update also. Awesome. So let's we move on with our staff announcements, Mr. Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a few. I wanted to remind everybody that November 17th is the board retreat out at the Trinity River Audubon Center. An agenda will be forthcoming. Please dress comfortably because you might want to stroll around the grounds, and it's a nice relaxed retreat. So please dress as if you might walk outside as well. Also, board members, you have just recently received an email from Yesenia about board headshots, board pictures. Please take a look at that email because we need to schedule you a time to get your, not now, Mr. Cruz. You need to get you scheduled for your So please dress for success for these pictures. These will be going up on the city website. And if you have any questions, please contact me via Yesenia offline, and we'll let you know. In that email, there are a few dates and time slots, and it should only take just about 10 minutes. And that's taking place at Fair Park in the conference. Yes, Ms.
What's the background?
Just gonna ask that.
The background, I believe, is a green screen.
So no green, so nobody should wear green.
Please don't wear green.
What is this?
Calvert, you're in trouble. The email has different dates and times, Mr. Slaughter, so we'll get with you to show you what those are. So please take a look at the email. There's a few dates and times on there, and get with Yesenia and me, and we'll help get you scheduled for that.
Mr. Becker,
Sir.
my mom wanted to know if she could get a copy of this. Oh, the picture.
We'll contact Olin Mills. There is, I have just a few other announcements here. Step on anybody's toes. I apologize. Saturday, November 5th is Dallas Park and Recreation Day at SMU. The time is 6 p.m. That's Saturday, November 5th. For additional information, please talk to Sergio Garza from our team, Sergio Garza.
We want to thank Mr. Connors for arranging that SMU those tickets. We appreciate it.
And I have here the Friends of Willis Winters Park. Mr. Creamy, maybe you want to announce that. I'll skip that and let you do it. There is a dedication of a public art piece at Twin Falls Park Saturday, November 19th at 10 a.m. And we're going to email all of these out to you, so don't feel like you have to memorize them now.
Thank you.
And there's some two branching out events. One Saturday, November 5th at J.W. Ray Park, and Saturday, November 12th at William Blair Jr. Park. Again, we'll email all of these out to you. Mr. Chair, that's all I have for announcement.
With that, any liaison report?
I have one item.
Go ahead, Mr. Stewart.
Willie Johnson, 4 p.m. today, their first basketball gymnasium, right, Mr. Slaughter? Sure. That community, it's a great historic community in North Dallas. And they really showed up for the 2017 bond. They had people at every meeting. This is the heart of their community. So come share it with them.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the announcement about SMU. Please come out this Saturday. We have, Crystal, keep me honest, 500 tickets.
Correct.
500 tickets that were donated. Donated is the wrong word. We can't say donated. They're because of the NCAA. They were given to the park department, and we're hoping this is a start of a tradition that we could potentially put into place every single year, kind of a Dallas Day. You can see SMU's become, with the Born and Raised campaign and the Dallas, and our mayor and things like that, that we're going to start some parks and then expands beyond parks. But please come out. Please let your rec centers know. Do you know how many we have signed up right now?
I don't. I just sent a text with the number.
Okay. If you'd like to come, please contact Crystal, because the tickets will be a will call, but we play Houston this weekend?
Correct, University of Houston.
So it'll be a good game to come to. Pretty nice out as well. I think the temperature is like 65, 70 degrees. So we're really looking forward to making this tradition out there. So thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Karimi.
Good morning. Yes, as Mr. Becker stated, the Friends of Willis Winters Park, I mentioned this last time, but there's a little bit more details now. It is Saturday, November 12th. It's not just a centennial, it's also a ribbon cutting for a $250,000 soccer field. And also my friend, my counselor, and sometimes my therapist, Willis Winters, will be there. So please do come out and have a visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Karim. Ms. Asmani.
Two things. The children's park at Clyde Warren is going to be reopened this Friday. It's been closed for a bit. And the Arboretum extended the pumpkins to November 6th. So if you missed them, it'll go through, November 6th is this weekend. And then they are already in the throes of setting up the Christmas Village, which you should see some information coming about, an invitation to that as well. So lots of good stuff happening at the Arboretum.
Thank you, Ms. Asmani. Mr. Slaughter, waiting for you.
Happy New Year. Just piggybacking on what Mr. Stewart said about Willie B. Johnson. I look at this board, I'm so happy, so blessed to be a part of this board because the members that we have. Willie B. Johnson is in Hampton Park, which is in the middle of North Dallas. You feel the type of leadership that we have from Mr. Stewart. I mean, his heart and soul is there. He could be saying, hey, I'm out of town. And just like me, I talked to Aruna earlier, and Aruna's, Bo, you gotta go. And I said, well, it's 4 o'clock, on the other side of town. And Crystal and John was on me. You're never too busy to do something that you really want to do. So when I see somebody like a Mr. Stewart, that's just really getting behind this community that doesn't look like him, that should tell you something right there. So I'm gonna skip happy hour. I'm gonna be I'm posting.
Please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
That's nice.
Thank you, President Agarwal. I just wanted to recognize our rec centers for the incredible work that they're doing at Pleasant Oaks Rec Center. This past weekend, they had an event, a community very critical, they addressed a very critical need in District 5. They partnered with the Mexican American Bar Association to have a couple dozen attorneys and advocates were there to talk to community members, to give them advice on anything from immigration issues or divorce or child custody, anything. I mean, so I'm just so happy that Pleasant Oaks and they're using, that our community is using not only our rec centers for recreational activities, but they're also addressing needs in their community. They're going above and beyond. Priscilla Solis, Jacob Descendi is doing great work at Pleasant Oaks. And also want to publicly thank Mr. Bo Slaughter, because for being a great partner in District 8. There's this organization called Primos Dallas, and they're in District 5, and they do a lot of advocacy work for children, well, not really children, teens, getting them college ready, applying for FAFSA and TAFSA and scholarships, and some of our students don't have that support at home. So this organization is a nonprofit, and they address those needs. And the place that we're going to have their workshop at to do these college applications and financial aid workshops and stuff fell through, and they needed a place with a computer lab. So I'm like, they're like, do you know a rec center in our area that might be able to help? And I got on the phone with Bo, and Bo helped me find one. So this wasn't even an organization in his district, but it addresses the needs of students in Southeast Dallas, and Bo helped me with that. And thank you so much, Bo. So what was that? It was at Janie C. Turner, right? That has a computer lab. So I just wanted to bring that up, that, rec centers are doing great work in addressing the needs of the community beyond park and recreational activities. And I love that. So I wanted to share that with you all.
President, a couple of announcements. One, the next night market in the International District at the city's prison building, District 11, is coming up on Sunday, November 13th. Watch for more information on that. And then I think some of you are aware of our Dallas Trails Coalition group that we organized with all of our trail friends groups. Mr. Freemy has been engaged on. We had our 4th meeting a couple of weeks ago, and I think we've got every single trail group with the city engaged in that. So if you're interested in getting more involved, let me know. We'd love to have you. And then related to that, Mr. Creamy and Mr. Dickey and I think Mr. Blair says he's attending as well too. We'll be doing our next trail infrastructure ride coming up soon with checking out the new connection that we're going to plan between Bachman Lake and North Haven Trail, led by Mr. Dickey as we explore some routes. So join us for that if you're interested.
Thank you. On bikes?
On bikes, yes.
Count me up.
No golf carts, though.
Rudy, will move the lecture.
Thank you.
Friday.
This Friday with.
It's this Friday.
With Mr. Blair.
Yeah,
So bad weather.
yeah, Mr. Wood, and then I'll come to you, Mr. Blair.
Great. Thank you very much. I just wanted to share that the state fair was a huge success this year with record numbers, which also rolled over into one of our operators at the Children's Aquarium, who currently has the Glow Fest going on. I think Mr. Karimi could tell you about that. I know that several people attended that. And I just wanted to emphasize how exciting it is to have an operator that is taking the Children's Aquarium to a whole new level. And I think that they were up 12% in attendance over last year so far. So that's, they're increasing their attendance over last year. So they're doing really, really well. So if you go out and support them and, share your visits online, that's a great thing. But overall, the State Fair, Fair Park First, State Fair Texas, Children's Aquarium, were all very successful this year. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Blair.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to firstly start by saying that there was a big announcement made last Friday at Cedar Crest Golf Course. We will be hosting in 2023 the Southwest Showcase at Cedar Crest, and we'll be there with HBCUs at this great tournament. And it's going to happen at a historic course, which is more like the Arboretum or the zoo than it is like any other golf course because of the design, the history, and all of the rich community that surrounds this golf course. So a lot of great opportunities there. And then, of course, I got the opportunity to work with Park Board member J.R. Huerta, who came out to Keys Park, which is his park, as much as it's in any other district, he's always there and his company's there. We helped, I think, with over 130 volunteers, if I'm correct, JR. And we also had Park Board member Priscilla there as well. And we had a great time with community residents, community organizations who came out to clean the park. We even had some folks help the Friends of Oak Cliff with former Park Board member Barbara Barbie, who is a true titan in Keys Park and really loves that district. So we were honored to have so much fun, and the park department was there in mass. We had volunteers, we had staff members there, and it's always a great feeling to see kids who are racing to pick up more trash than the next person, who just really had a lot of good fun investing in our community. So a lot of great things happening in District 4. And thank you to the park department. Thank you, Miss Renee, for all that you do. And also, I really appreciate, Crystal, what y'all do with rec centers, because our rec centers really do a lot. And Arun, thank you for getting the mayor to come to District 4 to make such a huge announcement. And of course, Director Jenkins, everybody in District 4 is always excited to see you, excited to see that you come and personally invest in what we're doing. So we appreciate y'all. And those are my staff announcements, or my park board announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. Ms. Mondale, you want to talk about Zoo?
Well, I'm not the liaison, so somebody is here, but Zoo to do this Saturday. Are you the liaison?
No, you.
No, I'm not. I think it's
You get it.
Everybody. Wait,
You just did, so Zoo to do.
Zoo to do is when?
It is Saturday.
Oh, yeah, I'm out.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, either way, somebody, Zoo to do. I see y'all there.
Zoo to do. Let's
And
get
I
out
just
there.
want to thank the community at Old East Dallas in District 2, which is off the Santa Fe Trail between Munger and Fitzhugh. We had an event out there that really brought the community together. I want to thank John Jenkins and Renee Johnson for their team, really coming to put together to get the lights out there and really making our park safe. It's an area that, you know, has been questionable in the past, and the community really came out and celebrated their heritage, some of their culture. And thank you to Councilman Jesse Moreno's office as well for really making this amazing fall festival this last weekend.
And I just want to add to Ms. Mondale on the Old East Dallas park. It's one of the parks where we have some challenges with some issues with crime, and just to see the community come out and embrace it and seeing us take back the park and making sure the community understand that our parks will be safe, it will be a gathering place, and being able to coordinate with the council member's office and just the community and Ms. Mondale. This is what we have to do to make sure everyone understands that our parks are safe and they all are welcome. And those who want to cause problems, they are not welcome, and we're going to make sure our parks remain safe.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Mr. Blair, did you wanted to add a comment?
Yes, in my excitement to put the hat on, I did forget to mention Zoo to Do. Zoo to Do will be this weekend. There will be vendors and a lot of cool sights to see at the zoo. They definitely need our support. So make sure if you have some time to check out Zoo to Do this Saturday. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. You were late. Ms. Mondale did that, but thank you.
Sorry.
Just need to throw it in. And Ms. Mondale, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
With that, just one more quick note. On November 15th, 11 a.m., Mayor will have State of the City at Fair Park. Mr. Backer will send that information to everyone. I think we'll most certainly have a lot to celebrate that day after November 8th. So everyone try to attend if they can. A lot going on in the city, and parks have been involved like never before. So, you know, for everyone to be there. With that, with no other business, next park board meeting, which will be retreat, will be at 9 a.m. Thursday, November 17th. And thanks, Mr. Alka, to lead that. And with that, it's 11:15. We adjourn the Parks and Recreation Board. Good job.
Dream. Trick.
I thought y'all were gonna have a lot more questions on the 27th month.